Mm, mm, mm. The Packers season has come to a close. What to do, Packer Nation? I'm Camille Davis coming to you from the Pack a Day Podcast YouTube page after the Packers 10-22 wild card loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. Just one of those games that summed up the season. We saw a lot of things in this game that we saw in all of the other games where the Packers lost. Another game where the Packers can't seem to beat a great team. A lot of the things that we normally see for the Packers reared their head again in this game: the turnovers, missed opportunities, too many mental lapses, I think sums it up. Shout out to the Packers defense. They kept them in the game, held the Eagles to just 10 points in the first half, despite the Packers having 3 turnovers in the first half. Nixon having the opening kickoff fumble, which did look like he recovered, but I guess after the replay, they weren't able to establish clearly enough that Nixon regained control of that fumble. Whatever. You had 2 Jordan Love interceptions in the first half. You also had an interception from him in the fourth quarter, which probably should have been defensive pass interference on the Eagles, but nonetheless, it was out of reach by that point. But in the fourth quarter, speaking of fourth quarter, you had this Packers defense make two just idiotic mistakes. You had Nixon shoving Saquon a little bit after he was already out of bounds. You had Slayton not breaking up the gang tackle and pushing Barkley again when it should have been a big, second down stop. Instead, they get fresh yards and keep it rolling in the fourth quarter there. Packers finished, I believe, with 8 penalties in this game. First game against the Eagles, they had 7. So, again, another game where you're seeing some of the same mistakes. Jordan Love has to be better as well. He finished the game 212 yards, 20 of 33 passing, 3 interceptions. Like I mentioned, that third interception probably shouldn't have stood, but I guess the refs at that point were like, it's time to go home. Finished the game with a 41.5 quarterback rating, second worst of his career. Like I said, he has to be better. He missed some throws in this game. He made some bad decisions. The interception he had to Bond was, I don't know if he saw him. He just threw it right to him. But on the same token, he was down Watson coming into the game. And then during the game, he also lost Dobbs and then he lost Reed. Injuries were another story of this game. You had Elton Jenkins get hurt, and then Travis Glover came in the game, who had only played 13 snaps the entire season. He ended up getting pulled after he had 3 penalties, 2 holding penalties, and 1 drive. You had Kadeem Telford come in at left guard to finish out the game there. But then the fourth quarter, you get Josh Myers, who's carted off with a late leg injury. So, like, Jordan Love, like I said, needs to be better. But it was already tough sledding for him without Watson coming into the game and then losing Dobbs and Reed in that game, also playing without a starting left guard. And then by the end, when Josh Myers is carted off late, like, again, the game was kind of out of reach at that point. It was like an unrealistic chance for the Packers to get back into it at that point, but it's tough on a situation. Looks like Josh Jacobs had got banged up, didn't see him down the stretch there in the game either. And then on the other side, like, you saw Quay Walker, who made his return tonight, come up injured. We saw Gary limp off the field. We had Devontae Wyatt come out early in the game, and at halftime, he was ruled out with a leg injury. Like, Love actually banged his. It was just like everything that could go wrong in this game for the Packers went wrong, right? Matt LaFleur, he said in his post game that part of the reason why there weren't more reps under center is because they saw something, they thought that they could really attack the Eagles from the shotgun with spreading out their offense, and the offense just didn't have enough. Special teams didn't have enough. The defense did what they had to do. A tough situation for them, and all in all, just again a disappointing way to end the season, but it's on brand with what we saw for the last 2 weeks, where the Packers just weren't good enough. They just weren't good enough the last 2 weeks heading into this game, and then they weren't good enough against one of the best teams in the NFL. And when you're playing against a talented team like the Eagles, you can't beat yourself in the process. And we saw the Packers do that time and time again in this game. Now, next couple of days, there's still going to be film breakdown, of course, of this game and thinking about how the Packers could have won and what mistakes they could have overcame, so on and so forth. And then you move into offseason conversation, which, hey, that's what you're supposed to do. I just want to go on the record here and say, I do not think Matt LaFleur should be fired. I do not think Matt LaFleur should be fired. I do not think that Jordan Love is not the guy. I think that, the growth isn't linear a lot of times. Sometimes you go like this. And for Jordan Love, who, while it is his 5th year in the NFL, it's only his 2nd year starting, he has to continue to grow. I think Matt LaFleur is a good coach. But I do think he also needs to be better. Some of the play calling, the decision making. So this team has room to grow. This year and last year, youngest team in the league, rebuilding. Packers are going to have a little money this offseason. It's time for them to take that next step in a very competitive NFC North division. So a lot more work for this Packers squad to do to get ready for next season. But again, there's going to be a lot of time to break all that down, talk about what that looks like. I want to thank everybody who's been checking out these instant gut reactions over here on the Pack a Day podcast with me. I've enjoyed the feedback, enjoyed the comments. Win, lose, or draw, y'all know what it is. It's go, Pack, go. Make sure y'all keep it locked in to the Pack a Day podcast going forward for all of your Packer needs. I'll talk to y'all soon.